Good morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon.
Is it an afternoon?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I was invited to speak in the morning. Yeah. Let me just thank Baba Mashobo for giving me the command and wants to finish at a particular time, and I have to keep within a certain time. I must say that I would have preferred for those of us who were not with the delegation to have been introduced to them, even if they are not speaking now, so that we know who's here. But those who have gone into the website and listened to their comments, I can almost guess who said what. And therefore know them in that regard. But I would like to say thank you very much for coming to be with us and to assist us to be what the Lord wants us to be. I will tell you why I say that, because I'll tell you why I say that. So these gadgets are a problem. I will tell you why I say that, and this is where I want to start. That it took some Afrikaner Christians who crossed the line, like Beas Nodir, to humanize us, because we're very angry. It takes an experience of being in Palestine and in Israel, whatever language you want to use, I'm going to speak about it. Takes that effort for you to understand that everything you were told is the absolute truth. It's not the absolute truth. And this is the pain about discovering that what you were told about, which was very spiritual and biblical, and suddenly gets questioned, and it shakes your faith in the process. And so when I listen to our brothers, it does, and sisters, it shakes your faith, actually, in a big way. I said to my brother, Munta, you know, I've met him at a college. I will come to that, my personal story. That class started about his personal story of discovery. He knows that the first time I came there, I came during the night. You remember, I came to the college during the night. I crossed the wall because the conference, the meeting I had come to, had put me on the other side of the wall. And I met people on the other side of the wall. Then I said, but I'm missing other people. They are not there. And nobody had planned for us to go there. So that appearance that day was a forced breakaway from those meetings to go and meet the Palestinian Christians, because I thought you can't be in Jerusalem and not meet Palestinian Christians. It doesn't make sense. And many of us here have gone to Jerusalem and Holy Land and missed them completely. You would not have had any conversation with them. If you met others, they tell you the story that you know. I said to my brother, I'm happy that Pastor Mashobo had a break, because you know this story does make you angry. You know, if you listen to this story, you must be very inhuman not to be angry. You know? And then when it makes you angry, you must now define it as holy anger. Because otherwise it's very difficult to it's the way in which I found out how I can still look at my brother and say it's an enemy. Because the Bible seems not to allow you to say, this brother who's a Christian, but is on the other side, is an enemy. And then the Bible helped me. Love your enemy. I said, oh, I can define first. That is an enemy before I love. Because if you can't define it, you can't love. But it means I must define this person as an enemy. And he's a Christian, by the way. And he's also born again. It's tough when you are oppressed by Christians. And this is what I will talk a little bit about today. I would like to say, because of time, I'm very nervous about telling this story because I always talk about them without them. You get what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But they are experts in this subject. So I'm going to try to navigate through it, and we have got time to fix it. The first thing I would like to deal with is this concept about a Holy Land, because we're calling it a Holy Land Conference. And say that unless you defined it, because I like defining things before I deal with it, unless you define it, you will not have an understanding of what it is. I thought I would define it, but I would have no authority to do so. So I went to Google. So if you must attack somebody, attack Google, not me. It's not me who says it. But you see, Google is also part of the problem. It's also part of the problem when you read it and Google. So Google will say a Holy Land, it starts by saying it's the state of Israel. That's what Google says. It's the state of Israel, Palestinian territories, Western Jordan, parts of southern Lebanon, and southern Syria. That's what Google would say. It's actually quite interesting the way it defines it. And I wanted to start from this story because I think it's very important that we, as I must, I never say this, but because I'm in a conference of evangelicals, I will say so. I never say this. But I'm going to say we, not just as evangelical, I'm going to say evangelical Pentecostal or Pentecostal evangelical. Give it a definition of your own. We have been given a lie, and the lie is carried by the tour groups. I'm happy that some of those who run tour groups are here. Tatem Mazwan, who have been debating this issue about, how they present these tours. Yeah. They say to you, you're going to the Holy Land, which is Israel. Yeah, they tell you you're going to Israel. And then they take you to Bethlehem. They don't tell you it's not Israel in Bethlehem. They don't tell you that. They say you're going to Israel. And then you arrive there, they take you to Bethlehem, and they make you believe it's Israel. It's not Palestine. I will not say more. There's lots of lying in the Christian fraternity about what we believe in. I must say the second thing, that when I went to Iraq, which was during the war, and ISIS went to Erbil in the north to the border of the war, because we're trying to assist, that's from the Church's Commission on International Affairs. When I was there, I was put in Babylon Hotel. And I said, am I in Babylon? Yeah, this is Babylon. Yes. And then I crossed the Euphrates River 5 times.
Yeah.
And when we read the Bible and you see Euphrates River, you think it's in this state of Israel. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's you have to reread the Bible and relook at the map and understand that some of those parts that are in the Bible are in Libya, actually. You know, those who read the Bible and check the map, you will see that Libya becomes part of it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the land of the Bible. So the first thing is the line. And I must say, I'm happy our brother Gustav is here, but you know, where's Gustav? Oh, you know, Bror Obas Herber was there when we had this discussion about the tour groups.
Yeah.
You remember? And he said we must bring all the tour groups in South Africa and have a conversation about this matter. Because they are indoctrinating people about concepts that are not biblical. If I want to say it in that way to be more biblical. Then that land called the Holy Land, you find there Jews, Christians, and Muslims. They all regarded Jerusalem as their holy place. You know, they've got holy places there, and it's part of the conflict. But all the three monotheistic religions claim Jerusalem. You will know that there were crusades, which he referred to. That's why, Baba Matroba, I've got a problem with calling our campaigns crusades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? All the time I hear, we have got a crusade to win souls. Because many people died because of those crusades. When I met the leader of the Communist Party after the unveiling of the liberation movements in South Africa, he came to my house. Some of you have heard me talking about this. He came to my house. I was General Secretary of the Council of Churches, so I must meet the leader of the Communist Party. He's just come out of exile and to have a conversation with me. Because this Communist Party had Christians as well. We have a very funny Communist Party. They go to church in South Africa. So we had to have a conversation. And within the 2 hours of that dinner, we had to agree that communists and Christians have killed as many people as we are the same. It means we have to agree that nobody must pretend they are better. Because Christians have killed lots of people in the name of God. Yeah. And communists have killed people in the name of an ideology. Yeah. There's no difference except that there's God and ideology, but we did the same thing in any way. We killed people. And so we had to start from there and say, okay, now let's start, let's talk now. We equally killed people, but where are we going into the future? I want to talk about that. I just want to say for Jerusalem, you've talked about it, said, there were wars about these holy sites. And I just picked up the Crimean War, for instance. In the 1850s, there were wars there. So the holy place has had more conflict and wars than anywhere else. And the question is, if religion becomes part of the problem, the major problem, what is our message? Actually, are we able to make peace in that area? I just want to say, for me, I prefer, instead of the Holy Land, I prefer, because I'm not sure how you make land holy, but so I prefer to talk about the land of the Bible. I find that a little bit easier, because then I can talk about Iraq, I can talk about Syria. When we went to the north of Iraq, we went to where Nineveh. We went to Nineveh. Yeah, in Iraq. We went to Nineveh. And when we were there, we meet Christians who say, you know, we've been here for as long as Christ was. And we Christians here. And then they said, the younger people, you want us to go to America. You want the light to leave this place and go away. We are not going. We're going to be here and be the light of this place. I thought that was quite extraordinary. But you see, if you are not exposed to that, you have no idea of what you are dealing with. Let me just come then to the experience of Israel, Palestine, and I want to call it like that until I can come to our brother Mutha's position. As South African black Christians, allow me to say that, we went exactly through the same experience, perfectly the same. People came, and then they said they were the chosen nation. Those who are older will remember the theology. We are the chosen nation. The Afrikaners were the chosen nation. But they preached to me, and I said, but if you are chosen and you preach to me, what am I? You know what I'm talking about? You are chosen, am I not chosen? If I'm not chosen, why should I be Christian? Same questions that they are asking. And a whole theology was developed, and the Bible was captured and used for political purposes rather than for its spiritual content. At the trick, I thought I must just tell you the story. So at the trick, there was a clash between students and SCM members, Student Christian Movement, one night after school. And I had to leave early because I traveled very far. And I heard about this, came back to the school, said to the teachers, let's call a meeting between the student leaders and talk about this. And this student leader said, no, the missionaries came, gave us the Bible, took our land, and they used the Bible to say they are chosen, they are Israel. Actually, that's how they were putting it, they are the Israel. It was quite an interesting theological debate. And they take the Bible, they become Israel, and they've never been in Israel. and they justify your oppression, that you are because you are not chosen, you are less than human. And God loves us unequally. Yeah, God doesn't love us the same. We even had to fight about a toilet, which I've written about in my book. You know, they lock a toilet. I arrived there to work with Bonke, Reinhard Bonke, to set up his office in South Africa. By the way, I did. Set up his office in South Africa, but I went there where there was the youth department of the church white. And then they discovered I'm using the toilet they are using. They organized keys to lock the toilet. So that this black guy shouldn't use the toilet. Now, this is a born-again Christians, evangelical, Pentecostal. Nohan, when you are Pentecostal, they even speak in tongues. It's worse. And so, but then the following day, a week later or so, they wanted us to pray for Angola. You remember the war in Angola? Yes. And they want us to pray for Angola. So they invited me to join them in the prayer. And I said to them, I will not come to the prayer until you open the toilet.
Wow.
I will not come to the prayer until you open the door. Yeah, why should I go and pray with you about communists and etc.? But you've shut a toilet. It doesn't make sense. So I can't pretend that I'm with you, you know. The same issue, Bantu stands, bro. We're Bantu stands here. You know, we're confined. We had numbers in the ID. I still have the ID. I wish I had brought it here.
Yeah.
The ID would say, permitted to be in the prescribed area of Johannesburg whilst you are a scholar. And the principal had to sign every month that you are a scholar.
That's a don't pass.
Yeah, yes. And then when you finish school, they say permitted to be in the prescribed area of Johannesburg whilst you are a work seeker. It means you don't belong here. You are just here to come and work. But we're staying with a family there that has never been anywhere else except there in Soweto. They know nothing else. When the gold was discovered and diamonds, they were there. But when that happened, they declared this a white area. So everybody who's here now is a foreigner in this area. It's so similar. I mean, when I listen to the story, it's so much the same. And then confine you to Bantu stands. They find you here, and then take 87% of the land and confine you to 30% of bits of dry places where you can't survive. And then when they wanted you to work in the mine, they then reduce your land to subsistence type of land only, so you can go and supplement your income by working in the mines, because people didn't want to go to the mine. Now, my family was removed twice in my lifetime. When I was 3 years in 1953, and when I was 12 years in 1962. They removed us twice within 10 years and reduced you to a smaller piece of land, because you need to work for them, so you can't have enough land. Then they removed us there and reduced us to a yard so that you can go and work and not. And it's all done in the name of Christ, because these are Christians. The question is, how do you become a Christian in that type of context? I think that's what we had to deal with. And I was one of those who had to deal with this matter, which I don't have time to talk about our struggles. I just want to say, what we did, it's either you threw the Bible away and said it makes no sense and go on with your life without the Bible, or we decided to liberate the Bible. That's what we decided to do. And we said we're not going to allow the oppressor to take the Bible and use it against us. That's the first thing we said. We'll liberate the Bible. We'll reread this Bible, because the reading we're given is meant to let you accept the oppression. We're going to not reread it, but reinterpret it, because the interpretation again was meant to make you slaves and subjects to other people. That you have no right, other people have got rights. We didn't only reinterpret it, we then said, which was close to heresy, we then said, we must also liberate God from the oppressor. Because they've captured God, and they are using God against us. So let's liberate God from the oppressor. And at that point of the discourse, Baba Mathobo, my church suspended me.
Yes.
Yeah, at that point of the discourse, because I was a foreign element within and unacceptable, where violence done by the oppressor is acceptable. But violence by those who resist the oppressor is unacceptable. The definition of violence became in relation to power. You know, you must have power to legitimize violence. And those who don't have power can't legitimize their violence. Can I just give you an example? Because you were saying you did your theology in the checkpoint. So we were doing theology in the ghettos of Soweto and struggles. And the more they discriminated against us and kept us in Soweto, the more they saved us from Western theology.
Yeah.
It was actually very interesting. I still want to write about the ecumenism of the church in Soweto during the struggle, where all of us worked together because we were oppressed together. But it's not only that, it's ecumenism that goes beyond Christianity to Muslim, Hindus, and others, because we're all oppressed together. So when we got detained, we found ourselves in the same cell together. We learned to understand each other and live with each other in a peaceful way, which is what is happening in Palestine, because they live with the Muslim community together, and you make peace and live together. And so we had to liberate the Bible. But this thing about definition of violence was very interesting. I appeared in a hit squad with Desmond Tutu and others in 1985. We knew exactly when we were going to be hit, the week. The people who were trained, one of them was given the list, and he saw my name and Desmond Tutu, and his conscience said no. And he came to tell us that you are about to be hit. When that happened, I was under house arrest, and so everybody could go away that week, but I couldn't go away. If I go away, I break the law. I go to jail. If I stay, I'm going to die. So I said to the family, well, can you leave me here? You should go. I'll see how I deal with the situation. And my wife said, no, if you are not leaving, we are also staying here. We're going to die with you. At that point, for the first time, and I'm a very peaceful person, by the way, I'm still very peaceful. For the first time, I thought, if I had an AK-47, for the first time, I'll make sure there's evidence before they kill. You know, for the first time. And then the community saved me from this thought by coming to occupy my yard and said, when they come here, they must start with us first. They saved me from this violent thought. Because when you are in that situation, you think defense and your children. But then some few days later, I discovered these young people are armed. These young people are armed. So I said, no, you can't come with guns in my yard. It's me now. You can't come with weapons here in my yard. So they said, how did you think we'll protect you? How did you think we'll protect you? For the first time, if you go to 1985 Institute for Contextual Theology, you will get an article there I wrote. I said, this experience has made me to understand that those who pretend to be non-violent, it's because somebody is doing the violence on their behalf.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Did you hear me? Yeah, somebody is doing, if you are the president of the country and you've got security here, you are not doing violence. If anybody appeared here, you are gone, actually. They will clean you up. And the president will still be there. And it made me to rethink that the privileged who have power define violence for themselves,
That's right.
for their own interests, but don't think about the victims of the violence of the powerful. And so the issue in the Holy Land, which I must go back to, is that for me, your time is up.
Yeah.
For me, I would like to declare my stance. For me, because of the pain, the torture, the poisoning, everything that those who were in power did against us. For me, I will not allow anybody to use the Bible to commit injustices against any group of people. It doesn't matter who it is. So if you produce the Bible to justify your injustice against other people, that can't be the God I believe in.
Yeah.
You see, the God I believe in is the one who died for all of us. You know, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. The whole world. It's not a certain group of people. Might have come through a certain group of people, I don't mind. By the way, I wish Jesus was born amongst the Chikanes. I mean, I would feel proud about it. And I wouldn't have kept him for myself. I would have let him go and say the Chikanes are so important. I mean, that's I wouldn't mind about that. But he happened to be born amongst the Jews. And if he's born amongst them, he made it very clear, I'm here so that everybody can be saved. If you miss that point, then you've missed it. And I had in a debate with some of my Jewish friends, by the way, I love them so much. My Jewish friends who said when we were debating, and I talk about Ephesians, that God has broken the walls of division and separation. You know, Ephesians is very, very good at that. And then they told me they don't believe in the book of Ephesians. And they are Christians, but they don't believe in the book of Ephesians. It's a problem. So I thought it's important. It is important. I know you want to take your time, sir. It is important that we understand that Jesus came and died even for Frank Chikane. And equally so, not unequally, and died for the Palestinian Christians.
Yeah.
Died for the Egyptians. Died for the Syrians. Died for the Iraqis. Died for the Muslims. Once we understand God in that way, God ceases to be a tribal God. That's where I want to end.
Yes.
God ceases to be the God we believe in now is a tribal God.
Yeah.
Because if this God can choose the Jews against the Palestinians, then he's a tribal God. He's not God.
That's right.
Yeah, if he chooses whites against blacks, it can't be God.
Tribalism.
Yeah, God can be only God
Yeah.
of all of the created reality.
Good.